when everything doesn't work just so, what you do is you try to break a few things. So that's why we dragged Michael Irby up front before we even played the credits, because we don't want to lose anything. So
we know it's working. I'm like, just keep him right here.
So that's how we're going to start the show today. We're going to talk to actor Michael Irby. We have our friend Laura Mignott backstage as well to talk all about all kinds of things, women in color, speaking. We'll talk a little bit about yesterday because I think we all feel like we have to. But first, I think we have to do this.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
See, that it looks like we were organized. It looks like everything is the way it's supposed to be because the intro.
It almost looks right. So, Michael, I dragged you to this because I always like to get insights from people who are making art, who are creatives, who are entertainers, and the reason I thought about you is because people who know Michael from shows, this is that thing that probably happens to you a lot when you see somebody out and about. Do they name you by the character that they first met you as?
That does happen a lot. It's been kind of funny too, because after I did a show called Barry as well.
Right.
It's over on HBO, and that was a big departure for those that are used to seeing Michael Irby kind of be like a tough guy kind of.
Right.
And so now when people stop me in the street, and even now with the Expanse on as well, they're like, dude, you're that guy from that. And I'm just kind of waiting to see which show it is that they're going to bring up, and then we can get into that. But it's kind of a thing now. It's not a bad problem, The Mayans MC is the one that's kind of come to the forefront, obviously, as of late. But it's really fun, because you got like different worlds and different people from different worlds. And when you expect them to be watching one show and then they pull out Barry as something way on the other side, it's just like, this is good. That's I'm bringing people together and I'm bringing minds together. So it's very cool.
It's tricky to pick the project. I mean, it's not like you get to pick a lot of times. You're just going for where they're going to let you be and where they're going to let you do what you want to do. But over time, in a way, you've been typecast in a way that people wouldn't expect. People wouldn't say, you had to play a whole bunch of drug dealers or whatnot. I mean, you played a Green Beret for the unit. You were in Navy SEALs. You're a fleet admiral in the Expanse. So you've played a lot of military roles. It was interesting that you ended up as Cristobal in Barry. Did that make you feel happy to not get a chance to have to play the same kind of thing again?
I don't mind playing the same type of thing because I think it's probably some type of a truth that is running through my core. When I was a kid, I was heavily recruited by the military there at my high school, but I was a soccer player and I had just so much life going. I just knew it wasn't going to be a part of my future. But the same people who casted Barry are the same people who cast the unit. And they were having a hard time finding Cristobal. And so I got a call from Sherry Thomas, and she says, Irby, we'd love for you to come in for this character. And I said, okay, well, what is it? She said, he's kind of like the Bolivian Sammy Hagar. And I said, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I said, let me do a little research and I'll get back to you. And when I read it, it wasn't written the way that it's been, the way that it's kind of manifested. But then when we went in and I started working with NoHo, and he just started ad-libbing, and then I started ad-libbing, and because I'm so used to just, and when I'm working against Anthony, it was just, he was saying nothing that was on the page. And I tell you, man, when I leave work on Barry, I'm just like, I'm so happy, and I'm just letting people turn in front of me, and I'm like, no, it's all right, you go ahead. And I'm just a whole different cat, I gotta tell you. And I really, when I was back in acting school, I played a lot of comedy in acting school, and then when I got out of school, they wanted me to be a tough guy. So that's what started to pay the bills, and that's kind of where I started going.
I had said this once for a second backstage, but in the unit, Dennis Haysbert plays your boss, and
Sure.
super commanding voice, massive guy, massive energy, kind of well, not massive energy, massive presence, kind of a guy.
Absolutely.
And then Shorey Aghdashloo, who is an incredible talent in her own country for so many years before anyone found her in America.
Sure.
You play against her as Admiral Delgado. It's got to be kind of wild because do you try to rise up to those kinds of energies, or what do you do in that moment when you're against that kind of force?
Early in my career, I got a chance to work with Robert Redford and James Gandolfini, and
what do you do?
and then I put Jodie Foster on the resume, and there were things that like I just really had to kind of sit in myself and know my own truth, because as soon as you start to think that there's something else that you have to do because of what is coming at you, it can get a little bit, it can turn into a bit of a gray space. I mean, unless you're fighting, right? If someone throws a punch at you, you should throw a punch back. But as far as like energy and as far as like working with legends, because I got a lot of legends on the resume now. Hopefully I'm creating that same thing. So when people work with me, they say, hey, I worked with Michael Irby. I don't really know if that's happening yet right now, but
you'll know you've made it when they're like, we need a Michael Irby type.
hey, I've heard that before. They were
you made it.
I said, well, Michael Irby's available, right?
And they're like, well, yeah, but like a type.
Yes, no. And I get that now, I understand that I'm kind of a type. And I can go to the, I can play in the dirt. I can play in outer space. It's great. But, Dennis and Sheree, she was fantastic. She was so warm and welcoming while I was there. And listen, I knew who she was, but I'm not really a fan of actors, I guess, because I am one. I mean, in the most positive.
That's interesting, because Chris isn't a fan of marketing people.
Listen. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not really a fan of actors. If I see an athlete walking down the street, I'm like, oh, stop the presses. I need to go and introduce myself and say hi and see if I can get an autograph and take a selfie, because I'm kind of coming from an athletic background. But when I work with actors that have these huge presence, I just step up to the plate, I think that's why they hired me. Yeah.
You were a soccer player for Team USA over in Europe for a little while.
I was.
That must have been something, but worse is the having to give it up before you wanted to give it up. That's rough.
It was rough, and it sent me down this path, obviously.
Sure.
I don't think I would have ever been here for that. And I'm a very big believer in, God shows you everything that you need as far as that goes. I'm not a religious person. I'm just very spiritual, and I do know that there's something bigger than me. So when these kind of things present themselves, I just kind of go with the flow, I guess, as there's books being written on it. There's things about staying in the moment and being present in that moment, and you can't really control what happens to you. You can only control your actions after that. So the soccer thing, I think I may have been experiencing a little bit of burnout already, but I didn't really want to tell anybody that was happening. I'd been playing at such a high level at such a young age that maybe I think I was already starting to kind of lose the love for the game. And then when I got in my car accident, it was kind of a gift, I guess. It was a gift. And I just stepped away from the game for a little bit. I still play now. I play in an over 40 league, which is fantastic. I play every Sunday. And, so I never hung up my boots. But I definitely, I went and earned my money elsewhere, and it's been beautiful.
While you were experiencing burnout, what did you fantasize about being, like, librarian? Like, what was when you thought, I need to do something different? Was it acting always, or was there like a third option in there?
Honestly, there was really nothing. I just kind of wanted to stay alive and not really kind of hurt myself and others. I was just so angry. I think I was just so like, I just got myself into a real negative spot, and I just needed something different. And at 19, I said, I got a great idea. I'll move to New York and go to acting school, because when I went to college, and I just took an acting class out of the whim, and a teacher pulled me over right as we were starting. He says, Michael, I want to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble, because that is my MO. And I figured out that I had probably gotten myself into some type of trouble. and he told me that he said, "Brother, you're an actor." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You're an actor. I believe that you can probably make a living doing this." And that's when it started. I didn't really fantasize. I was too young. I was 19. I was just looking for the next good time and looking for the next party and trying to stay out of trouble and not get an arrest record.
Just don't get caught. I hear you.
Yeah, well, just don't get caught. Yes. Very, very, very important.
So I have a million things, but I guess one of the thoughts I was having while I was listening to you is that you're like a lot of us, that, you know, you're a lot of what you need requires a lot of people around you in closer contact. And so we can't do that. You're in this down spot. Are you doing the same sort of thing? Are you taking this pause as more poetry, more guitar? Like, what are you doing with your time?
You know, absolutely. This has been I believe it's been a bit of a reset for everybody. You know, my son's 18 years old. He's getting ready to go to college next year, and just to be able to have that time to spend with him and to be with my family. I've been cooking a ton. I think my cooking's gotten better. I've just been working out down in my garage. Yeah, you know, I've just taken the time just to kind of stop running and hustling, and it was kind of nice because, you know, you weren't really losing ground, and nor was anyone gaining ground on you. So in that respect, you can just kind of meditate on who you are and what it is that you want. You know, I haven't really changed anything. I believe I'm a better person after this. I think if you're not, and you haven't really taken that opportunity to go ahead and hit the reset button, then that's on you, you know. But you know, this was a big gift for everybody, and I know it's been hard for a lot of people. But for my wife and my son and I, we really kind of turned it into a W for us. You know, we sit at dinner, specific time every night. We have dinner, we do our movies, we played a lot of games. The beginning of the COVID, we were doing a lot of puzzles. And it's like, now that we're here on this tail end of things, you know, it's okay. It's okay. I'm all right with the reset.
I feel like you're leaving an important part of your family out of the story. I'm not sure why you would go and do that.
What do you mean?
Who's that guy right there?
Hey, he is oh God, he is an absolute handful, this little dude. We didn't know that Frenchies were of this demeanor, but they are bulldogs all the way through and through. He is such a little tough guy. He does like to snuggle, and he is a COVID. He's a COVID acquirer. You know, we got him right we got him right before COVID. And we didn't really know that we were going to be like stuck at home for the next 9 months, but he has been an absolute blessing for the familia. Yeah, he's great. And we have another one as well. He's 14 years old. He's a little camera shy. Yeah, he's a little camera shy. He doesn't like the camera as much as Bo.
A bulldog that likes to snuggle. That's like a Michel Irby type.
Yeah, you know, my wife says that I kind of remind her of Bo, or that he reminds me of me. I don't really see it, but yeah, he's a bit of a tough guy.
Does your son watch your stuff, or does that make you not cool? Like, he can't do that. Right?
You know, honestly, he doesn't really watch my stuff, and
sure.
and I'm kind of okay with that. You know, you know, he's seen a few things, but it's like usually way after the fact, and like, you know, Fast and the Furious will come on and we're like, hey, you know, let's check out Fast and the Furious, and, you know, check out Papa when he dies on the bridge and stuff. And because
whoa.
I mean, and like, because everything usually gets to like this very life and death situation when I'm on camera. I'm either killing someone or I'm dying. And it's like, it's such a different person than I am here at home. So it's kind of
snuggling the dog.
Yeah, you know, that's not the same guy that you see on TV. And I'm kind of okay that he's not a big fan. His friends kind of come up when I'll pick him up from school, when I used to pick him up, and they'll be like, dude, your dad. And he's like, yeah, that's my dad. And, you know, but he's not, I know he knows, and he's been to set, and he comes to work with me every now and then, but he's just, you know, he's an artist in his own right. He's a photographer, and he's kind of going down that route. And he's, you know, he's got his own life, and I'm really happy that it's not connected to mine in that respect. You know, I think that in that respect, I think that we've done our job. Right.
Makes it healthy.
Got to be good for him to see how much you love the work you're doing. Like my mom, when she wasn't working, I would say, "Hey, Mom, are you going to work this weekend?" She'd say, "No, thank God." She was a nurse.
Right.
She really didn't like it, but those were one of only a couple of options open to women at the time.
Sure.
So I think whatever you do, as long as you love it, has to be a good example for the kids to figure out what they want to do.
For sure. And he sees me not love it too. Like he
Right.
sees me, with actors, a lot of this, what we do, you really get paid for the downtime, right? You really, because the other stuff you would do it for free. Don't tell anybody that. I know we're live, but the other stuff, because you do it from your heart, you do it for this space of expression and just trying to work through your own demons or your own light or your own darkness. So it's, he sees me when I'm not working. He sees me when I need the job. He, all the pretenses and all the fame and all the glory, he's seen the real deal. He knows it's not, I make it look easy, but he knows it's actually, even when I'm not working, I'm kind of working sometimes. And sometimes that can create a little distance. So I have to be very consistent with dinner, or, hey, let's go fishing, or, hey, let's go to the beach, or, hey, let's just hang out, just the two of us. And I think it made me a better actor. It's made me a better father. It's good. It's good.
It's a thing of beauty. Michel Irby, thank you so much for swinging by. It meant a lot that you would, and thanks for coming and chitty-chatting with us. And stick around if you can.
Yeah, I'm here.
We'll do a little panel at the end. So I'm going to stick you backstage. You're visible, but your weakest.
Oh, yeah, we see you. Forgot to tell them that.
I forgot to tell them that. So I have to run through a couple quick ads, and then I cannot wait to bring Laura Mignott on. I cannot wait. Like, we haven't talked in forever, so it's going to be really good. Hey, there's Fausia. I think my folks rolled in at the beginning, didn't they? Did I see my folks? Okay, just checking on them. We got to grab us a Laura, but I got to do our ads really quick because we have those. Because we had to make Michael come up right away. We were still not doing the beginning.
I was afraid. I didn't want to lose him.
I'm with you. Hey, authors, Michael's mentioned a bunch of times about poetry and how he's like not a tech wizard. You know what he could do? He could make a website really fast on PubSite. Pub-site.com. Look at that amazing logo. Pub-site.com.
So if you've written the book, that's the hard part. If you haven't, lock up the website now. You might as well just go get it because it's really easy. So PubSite is like a do-it-yourself. You can build your own website. It comes with everything you need to promote yourself as an author and to promote your book. It's all built in there. You just pull things around, drag and drop, and like customize your colors and stuff. Super, super easy. And it's just $19.99 a month. But there's a 14-day free trial. So get in there, build your own website. It'll take you like a couple hours, maybe, if you spend a lot of time agonizing over colors. If you absolutely don't want to do it, their team will build your website for you for $499, which is crazy. Believe me, you won't get a better website less expensive than that. It's like 10 times that normally. So Michael, get the website, write the book later, like when you get around to it. Next pandemic, you can write the book.
I mean, Laura's been noodling on a book for years and keeps putting it away, but this could be her time. This could be her time. So we could guilt her into a book, maybe. Let's try.
Or at least a show, right?
Hey, well, she has a podcast, and I've seen her make some videos, so maybe it's time to make a show to go with it. So see brogan.me/StreamYard. I just realized I have to redo this graphic so it's not hidden under the little logo.
You do indeed.
You son of a... Look at
but it's really easy to make a show. You can see every single thing that could have gone wrong today pretty much went wrong. And like, here we are doing the show because StreamYard just makes it that easy. So here we are.
And we're both like punchy because maybe yesterday happened. So the fact that we can run this show at all is a testament to that, and also good drugs.
It's good for me because I've been like, my voice is raw from all the yelling I did yesterday. So I think this is really good for my health, actually.
So Steve Brogan.me/StreamYard. Make your own show. You can escape if you want. And listen, sausage is a beautiful thing. We are sponsored by Johnsonville. No lie. I begged them for months, give me some sausages or money or both. And they said, how's both? And so they did. And we sent those sausages to all kinds of really wonderful people. We have some new sausage videos coming. But if you want to make a sausage video for us, all you got to do is send an email to Kerry at chrisbrogan.com.
Ask me for some sausage.
Kerry loves giving people sausage. So Johnsonville.
All we ask in return is that you tell us what you did with it and show us.
Show us in a very brief video.
That's what you did with your sausage.
That's how you use your sausage.
Oh, we're going to get some really interesting
We
messages.
need Laura Mignott on here. We need Laura because we're just going to...
It's bad. You're right. Let's fix this.
Hang on. Live from some hotel room somewhere. Hey, Laura, how are
New
you?
York. Hey guys.
I wanted you to come on because I just hadn't really done a great job of keeping up with you. And so to reconnect, I thought, you know what way to do is do it a show. And I didn't want to come on your podcast because I'm not good enough. But I figured, we could come on this show and we could talk about the reset. And
That is the most
everything.
passive aggressive way I've ever seen to get invited on somebody's podcast.
I don't want to be invited. I really mean it. Like
you do, obviously.
How many of my
you were
turd head
invited. How
marketer
about
friends
Kerry,
want
you
to
were
be on
invited.
this
How about
show?
that?
Yeah.
All my turd head marketer friends want to come on the backpack, and I'm like, it's not the show for you. You're not Horacio Garcia Rojas from Mexico City making Diablero. You're not Laura, who's getting more people of color on stage. You're just another white marketing man turd head. So you have to come on other shows of mine. So
What?
Laura,
Why do I have a yellow card, Bob? I do not deserve that. I do not feel like that was called for. I don't agree. I'm going to lodge a protest. Hey. You shut up.
All right.
That's not
Hi,
allowed.
Laura. How are you,
Hi,
Laura?
Chris. Hi, Kerry. How's everybody
One
doing?
second, Laura. I'm sorry about this.
Boom shakalaka. Yellow card, Brogan. And Brogan is going down like a bag of hammers tonight.
Wait, did I
That's
get
for
the
you.
yellow card because they gave you the yellow card?
Yes.
Son of a biscuit.
What,
Laura, so nothing much happened yesterday. You flew,
Yeah. I mean, all good in the neighborhood. I'm back in New York. Yesterday totally quiet when I got here, and then the world decided to go on fire. So that was a thing.
That happened.
What had happened was apparently. Well, yesterday, everyone got a very important lesson on what white privilege looks like. And so if anyone ever told you, hey, there's no such thing as white privilege, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, for what, 6 hours yesterday, we all got to see what it looks like when white people come storming through the gates of the Capitol and get escorted down the steps after they break into Nancy Pelosi's office and,
Steal her mail.
Through the Senate Capitol and try and smash up the House of Representatives. And nothing happens to them. And we all saw this past summer when the Black Lives Matter protests were tear gassed in broad daylight because the president wanted to get a photo op. So I think, as a teaching moment, yesterday clarified that for a lot of folks. And, if folks are like, well, I just kind of want to be neutral, and it's never, you cannot be neutral. So neutral means you're on the side of the people who are oppressing people. So you have to be on the side of moving the ball forward and moving for progress. Otherwise, what are you doing? And it relates to marketing because obviously lots of brands were like, oh my God, cancel all your emails.
They didn't. They didn't.
And some didn't, right?
Yeah.
Some did, some didn't. No, I didn't.
And Twitter was awful. It was like Twitter would be like, they never called it. I took issue with the terminology. They're like, oh, protesters. I'm like, that's not protesting. That's like terrorism, a mob perhaps, but it's not protesting. But I would see between those tweets, it would be like, hey, we're having a 30% off sale on our whatever. I was like, are you serious right now?
If you're a non-American company, that's the only time.
Go into your Agora Pulse or whatever and delete some things, or like put the whole thing on pause.
Pause your Sprout Social, pause your Sprinkler ads, and but it's also twofold because not only should those brands be smart about pausing their ads for market, and also today, because quite frankly, this is still very much fresh hell for people. Because a lot of folks stayed up all night watching to make sure the certification actually happened. I had friends who did. I had to tap out at midnight. I couldn't look anymore. But also check out employees of color. There's a viral video going on right now about a guy, older white man, who's screaming at the top of his lungs about how screwed up this whole situation is and how this would never happen. And he's yelling it to a Black woman who's in the Charger, and they're all kind of, having this like kind of really good conversation. But at the end, you see the Black woman start to tear up because she's like, this is so effed up. And I think, that is a feeling that a lot of people, especially Black people, are having today. Like, we literally have worries about if I wear a hoodie, if I move too quickly, if I bump into a Karen at the airport, and I might get tackled and killed by the police. But literally, I just sat and watched someone try and destroy the Capitol where my tax dollars are going. And so I think everyone has to be a bit more gentle with themselves over the next day or two, because this was not anything anybody expected, and it is traumatic. And it's going to have lasting effects.
My news app still has what to expect when Congress gets together to certify the Electoral College vote. I was like, you had no freaking idea. So, take that headline down.
It's I want to talk a lot about a lot of things to do with you, and I want to talk about Dflash, and I want to talk about, what you would be telling these people, because I mean it's built right into your hair process, humanity, authenticity, inclusivity, and respect. I mean, that's when things aren't so bad, which things have been crazy bad probably well for 400 years, but like very vividly since June. Right. So June was the flashpoint where everyone was kind of reminded, let's all wake up again. And it's crazy to bring it to here. But one thought I have is, I mean, where do you even start when you go to pick this up? I was telling you that, our guest yesterday, I'm glad I'm having this conversation with you, because her energy is so strong and powerful that I don't want to have to fight to have the conversation. I want to have the conversation and learn. But I don't also falter either, because everyone should be crazy. Everyone should be angry. Everyone should be like, everyone was mad when you kneeled. Nobody got mad yet.
We talked with her in the morning yesterday. So
yeah. This is before it all happened. So
yeah.
Laura, I'm sorry, that was a lot of ramble. What I'm asking is, where do you even start? Like, what do you even think? Are you even thinking about this morning as far as what you're going to do with Dflash, what you're going to do with your podcast? Or are you thinking, I just wish I could go back and interview a couple more guests and talk about
pretend everything's
crazy things.
I mean, today's day that I'm going to get a lot of emails and texts and DMs from brand clients and friends who work at brands and agencies being like, what do I say to my employees? And how do I even navigate this universe? Like, I was just commenting on some stuff on LinkedIn about how brands can respond today. And I think now is a time where it is acceptance of the reality that we're in and then moving forward. And so, it is very much like acknowledging what this looks like. I think, the thing that's happened over the last year is that all the Band-Aids got ripped off, where it went from being like, well, I had no idea, to, oh, wow, this is not a good idea. We should be smarter about all of this. We should ask some people to let's go find the one Black person who works in our organization and go ask that person. No. That's not what you should be doing. It's taking a look at your internal processes and procedures. What's the temperature of our organization? How are we treating our employees of color? What are the messages we're putting out there? Are we making people feel welcome? Are they feeling at home within this organization? Because you can't tell anybody about what they're doing if your house is on fire. So if you're a brand, this is a moment for you to really take for real stock in this. And in a way, this was actually the recharge that we needed, because what was happening towards the end of last year was that you had the black squares, you had the outrage about the black squares, and then they started hiring lots of Black women to be chief diversity officers. Whoopie damn do. And they gave some Black guys some C-level titles. No Black women, also a problem.
Let's not get crazy.
Heavens no. But also it started to wane after the election and in this November, December. And I think this was basically a baseball bat to the forehead, being like, this is actually not a conversation that can go away. And so we are now waking up to the fact that we're 7 days into 2021 and we all had this experience. So how you as an organization can be smart about this is to take a really good, a body scan. What's actually happening here? What has happened since June in our organization? How have we followed up? How have we responded? We made our sort of corporate, responsibility moments last year. We wrote a check to the NAACP, but did we do anything about helping to make meaningful, lasting change in our communities? Our offices are in these big ivory towers. Are we doing anything for the communities that surround where our offices are? How have we been smarter about this? And if we're not, who can we speak to that can help us get there? Because, there's a kind of this joke that I speak fluent white woman and white man. I do, because I'm a capitalist. But I'm also someone who understands if you lead with empathy and not telling people that you're really, really awful and bad white person, that goes a long way to be like, hey, like, how can we be helpful to help guide you without smacking you upside the head about how awful all white people are? Because that solves no problem.
If they're sitting in the boardroom looking at a bunch of white faces saying, what should we do about this whole situation with Black people? That's a problem.
That might be one.
People of color in the room, you're having the conversation. There should be leadership, Black leadership, people of color, LGBTQ representation in that room. And
older.
A lot of places, and older. Well,
yeah,
older seems to not.
Older people. This is the thing. It can't just, I think, again, we created the thing called culture boards. And the reason we did was because, we produced this really amazing event in the Cannes Lions last year, 2019 now. And, I was watching all these really incredible speakers who were senior folks who represented everything under the spectrum, because it's not just race, it's age, race, location, gender identity, gender expansiveness, neurodiversity, accessibility, location. And those are the voices that need to be represented when you speak to people. And if those folks are not within your organization, then pay for them to become your consultants and advisors. It can't just be, oh, I found these really great millennials who are awesome, so like they're gonna tell me. I'm sorry, no. Like, you need people who are business people first, who can help you understand the P&L reasons as to why you need to be smart about this, which is why I say I'm a capitalist who happens to be a Black woman. Because if I tell you that, oh, I'm an activist, well, then you don't want to talk to me because you think I'm just going to tell you to march somewhere. But if I tell you I'm a capitalist, and here's how you as a company can make more money if you're more inclusive, because when you include more people, that means you including more dollars in your pocket. And that's what, like, if you put it in brass tacks where this is about the money for some folks, they'll get it. It's like, Black women spend $1 trillion on their hair. But like, good luck trying to find all the products we need. It's still a struggle. It's the same thing if you're looking to try and do a more accessible menu. Have you ever looked at the menu at Cheesecake Factory? It's 14 pages. If you're neurodiverse, you're like, I can't even look at this. So like, if you do things that are smart, thinking about how do I get the most people to want to actually engage with my brand in smart ways, that's how we move this ball forward. And acknowledging that if you haven't done it in the past, because again, if you've been racially insensitive, you've been gender insensitive, if you've been LGBTQ insensitive all these years, and today you're like, I want to do something better. Okay, cool. We acknowledge the fact that you were bad before, but like, today is the first day of a brand new start. And what can we be doing to make meaningful and lasting change that will actually move everybody forward versus continuing to fight?
You're raising such an important point, because you don't get new ideas talking to the same old people, like the same types of people. You need to mix things up, and not just have people in the room, but empower them to speak. Because I've seen plenty of rooms where they're like, what, we have, people here, but they're the way, when they speak up, the way that they are received doesn't make them want to speak up again. So it's about more than just having people in the room. It's about creating a space where they can actually speak.
Yeah, if you're just talking to folks because, you heard that, you needed to talk to the young people in your organization, or you need to talk to the Black people in your, or the LGBTQ people, and, they're junior, well, they're not going to be able to articulate what actually needs to happen here. And also, they're going to be intimidated by this because, like, well, if I don't say the thing that I think the CEO wants to say, I might be out of a job, and I need the job.
Right.
So, this has to come from a senior leadership side of the universe. And, when folks say that they can't find people who are senior who represent different parts of of diversity, they're just being intellectually lazy. Like, we put together the Inkwell experience, and it was basically, 100 speakers from 4 different continents. And we basically curated that. It was snapping our fingers when we did the live version, last summer, because we couldn't go to Cannes. We did it in 2 weeks. We were able to find 120 speakers from around the world who was director level and above, from brands, agencies, and publishers, in less than 2 weeks with a couple of phone calls. Nobody got paid. so the folks are there, but also the ask has to be right. And I think this is also a part of it that's absolutely key, because no person of color wants to be on well, you're Black and a CEO. Can we talk to you about that? No.
Yeah. You know how much of that happened? So right around June, people were like, I just realized I don't have a lot of Black people I know on LinkedIn. And I go, and they would just like find people because they were Black and be like, hey, I've just realized that you're Black. They didn't say that, but like, that's what it was.
That's what they were doing.
And I'm like, it's great that you've realized you don't know any people of color, but maybe don't just like collect some
right
for now.
Turns out it's not like Pokemon.
No.
They'll catch them all.
No, do not. So it's when I was looking at your Instagram, by the way, I was looking through the guest pile, and I was thinking, very naturally, because of who you are and what you do, and because of who you're seeking out. I mean, you have great representation, tons of women, plenty of people of color. It's just, you can't not, because that's what you do. But one thing that Kerry and I say very judgmentally a lot is I love to go to my other podcasting and video making friends and all that and look at their white June. White. I
don't like it. I hate it. Actually.
Well, when I say in a judgmental way, because it's just like, well, did you feel like you did your thing? Like, there's that box checked, but I want to.
What bothers me though, Chris, is that like right around June, there'll be like this little bink, maybe one, maybe two, and then right back
to white guys. Yeah. But so I say that in my super judgmental way, my kind of trying to be a more of a monk way for 2021. I have to acknowledge that, I didn't think much about it either. I have plenty of friends who are people of color who I had not made as guests on my show. I had already had, the connections, but I hadn't made them guests on my show. Why not? No great reason. I start looking at my Twitter, people I follow on Twitter, and I was like, whoa, that is a big bowl of mayonnaise. So I had to go and fix that up a little bit. So, and then in some cases, it was just lots of people I know and like that I hadn't connected with for reasons that I don't know.
That's like who you knew, who you now choose to talk with, and
where I want to focus my energy is the difference.
Yeah.
Where I spend my energy is the difference, which is, I want to have more conversations like this. I want to have friends who give me little peeks into a culture that I'm not, part of, and I'm not, that I don't understand fully. Like I saw a tweet where you were talking about the kind of viral nature of that guy having that conversation with a woman in the car. Right around that time, Lisa Dean, a friend online, she tweeted one about somebody said, "Is there a separate app for Black Twitter?" And then the response GIF was just a whole bunch of people all kind of like looking at it, like, who said that?
And well, there's Parler for whatever Parler for
the white guys.
White Twitter. Yeah, it goes Parler.
So anyway, it's just out there. I didn't mean to make this episode, not about Dflash and not about all the other stuff you're doing.
But you also can't not talk about what happened yesterday, because
wait. But here's the thing. I think what we do as an agency and what I do with the podcast is indelibly this, and it's that you have these conversations in a way that doesn't lead you to be angry and obnoxious, but you deliberately want to have the conversation, because that's the first step in all of this. Because if you're not talking about this in smart, non-combative ways, then we're never going to get the ball moving forward. And I think this and it goes to a lot of this. It's like, listen, hey, I look at my Twitter feed and it's mostly white guys. What can I do to fix that? Now, if someone says that to me and I say, well, start finding some folks that you might have some common bonds with in the industry and start up a conversation. Like this, nothing gets solved by yelling. What gets solved is if you acknowledge that, okay, there were mistakes made in the past. I could have done better. We all could have done better. And the thing is, it's when we, look, people are not one-dimensional. And I think that oftentimes is also the case. Same thing. Like, if you want to talk about LGBTQ issues, you go find your gay friend. Well, that might be someone who also might be neurodiverse. That might be someone who also is a person of color, or as a parent who's a person of color. So they're biracial, and you probably didn't even know that.
Right.
So understanding the full self of people is how we sort of start to get better at a lot of this. And not just making people feel like, oh, I'm going to make you feel bad so that you'll do something better, because it's just not going to help. And when we talk to our brand clients, it's the same conversation. Like, How can we help you understand that everyone leads very full and rich lives? And that's part of the reason we came up with Culture Board, because again, I could be your senior brand manager at, Pepsi, but on the weekend go to drag balls. Well, now that I know that you do that, great, because you can talk to me from a brand perspective, but you can also talk to me from like what it means to be in an underground scene like that, and not have the company make these weird judgments because of the photos they might see on Instagram, and not understand there's a deep, really strong and rich culture that comes out of that. And I think that's the nuance that we bring to whenever engagement we bring with a client, that like everyone has unique nuances that make them awesome, and acknowledge that and understand that, like everything what you guys are doing, like this is the thing, like we have to, because you say bring your whole self to work. Yes, create environments where people can actually bring their whole selves there. And again, if you don't have those people, hire folks who can help you get there, because you're not going to solve this by like, magically promoting people and then putting them in jobs that they're not going to be qualified for, and then they fail quickly, and then you're like, well, look, I tried. Like that's not going to work. But if you acknowledge, you give people space, you ask questions, and you say, listen, I don't know, that's how you get there. I mean, I give the really quick story about like, I went to a mostly white elementary school. Well, all schools I went to was mostly white. I went to private school on Long Island, New York. And my junior high school was 98% white. So of the 200 kids, there were 6 kids who were black. One guy was like one white guy was the captain of the basketball team, and he and I were friendly. I haven't spoken to this guy in 26 years. So since I was 14 years old. He messaged me on LinkedIn right as June was happening and asked if we could have a chat. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And we had a chat, and it was basically like, can you tell me how to be a better white guy? Like, how can I be a better ally? And I was normally like, I haven't talked to you in 26 years. You haven't made another black friend who could
decades.
Like, I'm 40. No. What?
Buy a book.
Buy a book. But here's the thing. He was genuinely curious because he wanted to learn, because he has small kids, and he wanted to be a better dad to help his kids understand the world that was happening in front of them. And so I had to make the choice. Do I hang up the Zoom conversation and be like, dude, go find a black friend? Or here's some books.
Right.
Like I gave him an example of like some weird thing that happened to me when I was in junior high school that he didn't even know about. And I'm like, you remember when like, did you remember hearing about that? Yeah. Like that was racist as hell. And that was with one of your best friends. And he's like, I had no idea that he had said that. I'm like, that's the thing. So by giving him the space to understand what it was like to be in my shoes, and say, I am not going to educate you. Here is a whole bunch of books, but I appreciate the fact that you wanted to learn. And we had an hour-long conversation. Sure. And it started the conversation that has now helped him to be able to talk to his sons at a better rate. Him and his wife are talking to they're the ones who got the mom and dad who would be up at the Capitol. And can actually articulate, because I can't convince every white person. It's going to be you guys who convince your cousins or aunts and uncles who thought yesterday was okay.
I've given up. My kids I can work on.
That's the thing that has to happen, because but if I don't start the conversation with him with empathy and say, listen, here's why this is wrong. Here's why this is so effed up. You don't see this, but I don't really wear hoodies. I have 2 older brothers who don't wear hoodies. We all have master's degrees and make good money. That's insane. But but it's also not derived of anything that's a lie. It's our mom, who lives in Florida, banned us from wearing hoodies.
Right. Right.
You put it in those terms, and you say this could happen to me, but you're the friendly black person. Or no. You might think I'm the friendly black person, but in the world where it's random, I could bump into a random ass Karen who could call the cops on me. It happened here in New York right after Christmas, where a young 14-year-old got tackled by a woman who thought he stole her iPhone. But again, if we don't have the initial conversations with the people who are willing to listen, and then give them space to go and get educated, because it's not our job. It's not our job. Right. And we are not going to absorb your trauma. But if we don't at least have the door opening conversation, then we're never going to get anywhere. And then once we've opened that door, it's up to you to walk through, and then it's up to you to bring your next relative through, bring your next aunt through. Like, that's how this has to work. And it's going to take a long time for it to be improved. But I do hope that, this opens up a real and lasting dialogue that enables people to make better choices.
You know what they say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time.
That's today. Speaking of people planting trees, I'm grabbing Michael back. You have nothing to do with planting trees, Michael.
Hey, guys. Hey, I don't mind planting trees. I just planted about 20 ficus along my property line.
Did you really?
I told you I like playing in the dirt. I like to play in the dirt. I'm a bit of a caveman.
We're all on lockdown. It's like, some ficus trees.
What's that?
This is such a 90-degree angle from what we were just talking about, and I really appreciate the conversation.
That's interesting that you say that.
And this question comes from inside the big yard at Folsom County Prison.
That's where my questions come from, weird places.
Okay.
I knew Michael was like, what just happened?
Where are we going? What are we doing? There's a bomb dropping.
He talks about whatever he wants to talk about.
Sometimes I just switch it up. And Laura, I had a million things I wanted to say, but I was also watching the clock. So I'm like, I'll just talk to her afterwards on Twitter. Thank you for all that. I do have a question that I was thinking about weirdly, which is a lot of people, I got a few messages saying, this is a really important conversation. I'm still so fried. I'm going to have to watch the replay because I'm still processing yesterday and I can't hear this today. And I was like, okay, everyone for everything. Here's my really easy softball-y kind of question. What do you really want to do besides get to hang out with people again? Because we all want that. We all want to go and hug some people that we really love. What's the thing that you want to do that's would have been so not interesting or so stupid or so plain, like go to an ice cream stand? What do you most miss doing that you haven't done in a while since quarantine? I'll start with Michael.
Being in the business, I'd love to go and sit in a dark movie theater with a bunch of strangers and maybe hear people laugh and cry together and then walk out and then look in people's eyes and wonder if they saw the same movie that I saw. I would love to sit ringside at another UFC event and be squeezed in really tight with people that I don't know and that I don't know if they've been vaccinated. I don't know if they have the COVID. I don't know. I think I'm kind of seeing right now we're like all children. America is the child. And now we've all just told Santa Claus is not real. Right. I believe that the government is kind of Santa Claus. And now we're all a little bit confused. And that was the loss of innocence. I don't need a new normal. I want to go back. I want to see people's faces and teeth and their smiles and their eyes. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to that. And just being with people, obviously. But yeah.
I miss paying $9 for popcorn. I really do.
Brother, I will pay $9 for popcorn, and I'm okay with paying $9 for popcorn. I would just like to be hanging out with, and I'd like to go to a bar and meet a stranger and buy him a drink, and we end up talking about something coming from two different worlds, and then leaving and saying peace. I would just, because I spent 10 years in New York, and you walk through and you meet somebody and you're just hanging out for a minute. I would just like some of those little nuances back. I got to tell you, I'm not down with the new normal. I hung mistletoe this year just so I could get a hug.
Hugs and kisses in the hallway.
Oh, you have a death wish.
It was really weird because Bo was there the whole time.
Oh, and Bo was there the whole time.
Laura,
I want to drag my kids to stupid historical sites again and make them learn things. That's what I used to do on weekends. We get new ideas from old experiences and stories. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Laura, what about you?
Oh, yeah, similarly, I miss going to have someone make me a drink. As someone who loves cocktails, I'm tired of pouring my own gin and tonic. Really, I am. For real. But it's also there, and then living in New York is a completely different experience. I miss crowds. I hate people, but I miss crowds. I mean, I miss Sunday Fun Day, where some friends and I would hey, who wants nachos? All right, it's Sunday. Let's just go to Cowgirl Seahorse down here in the Seaport area downtown and go have giant frozen margaritas and nachos and start playing trivia with a bunch of strangers, and no one gives a damn about it. And some random dude hits on me and I'm like, I'm just not my type. And like, you give him a fake number. Like, I miss that. Where it's just like the serendipity of it all, where like, or you meet someone randomly and you just start chatting and you realize that like you know like 8 people in common, or you bump into someone at South by Southwest and you end up like spending the night at some weird underground club and you're having a great time, and then the next morning you don't remember what that person's name was. Like that kind of just beauty of the serendipity and the unexpected is gone. And I also think that relates to how a lot of us feel now, because like that kind of lightness that was always within us where you could do that and feel comfortable has gone away. And like we're all sort of now like kind of like perfect people behind these little squares. And we all know that that's not true, but we're all stuck here. And so it's really hard to kind of get through that. But I'm hopeful.
We also look at other people like they're the enemy or something, you know, like if you do have to go out and go grocery shopping, everyone's looking at you like, are you going to give me the COVID? Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't want it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So just people.
What are some of your lockdown things that you did on the lands of, baking bread or that sort of thing? That's my last question for you both. Michael? Planting ficus, I guess you did that.
Bob says he'll make you a nice drink. Bob is a very trustworthy person.
Man, like I said, I just really got into my my menu. My cooking. I kind of switched things up. I got off of meat last year, and it really had to kind of really had to open up my whole menu. And I'm kind of a guy. I would wake up and wonder what's for dinner. And so it gave me a lot of time to kind of prep my meals, a lot of meal prep, whether it was actual slicing and dicing or in my head. I just really got into my food because you couldn't go out. So I had to kind of start serving restaurant quality meals right here in the house. And, and that was it was something that I would look forward to every single day. That was like a constant that I would look forward to say, okay, guys, I'm going to start dinner. I'll see you at the table in an hour and a half. We'll sit down. We'll have a glass of wine and talk about not leaving the house today and how's everybody feeling. And so we just, a lot of talking and a lot of cooking. That was kind of my COVID.
I like it. What's your answer, Laura? What did you do? Did you end up being a baker or?
Well, I have cooked more in the last year than I've cooked in my entire life. And I do not know how my mother has done it for 30 odd years. I'm like,
right.
I think the big COVID thing, which I'm going to try and keep up, is I bought a bike.
Oh, wow.
And so, bike riding in New York City is insane. But like I, of course, found as usual the path of least resistance. And there's like this thing called the Hudson Greenway, where you can ride your bike up and down safely away from the rest of the traffic. And I got to discover all parts of New York that I didn't know existed. Like I lived here for 25 plus years, and like, did you know that there's a lighthouse in Upper Manhattan? Nope, I didn't. But I just kept going and just seeing different parts of the city. And it was a great bit of self-care because I could just get on that bike, listen to a book and just ride. I think, and I did that it was my Sunday thing that I did for like 3 hours.
Wow.
And it ended up being like 20 miles or something. And I'd be like, what? According to Strava, I did 20 miles out. But it was just, and it's something whereby like, I want that to continue because I definitely felt that it gave me something to look forward to through all this madness. Like that was my Sunday activity.
That's wild.
So, cool. Yeah.
Well, then here we have to go to our next little thing. Is we have person of the day. So,
and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
Got to be Bob Collins. My man Robert Collins is really part of the conversation. So he said I needed this combined conversation today, and I thought so did I.
Who
Robert.
even knew, right? I had no idea what I needed. I need a lot of things. It's impossible right now.
So Bob, that you know the deal. It entitles you to one free Johnsonville sausage. Ask Kerry. Kerry. We used to give out an apple. Now that you're all plant based, Michael, you know you would probably want to be apple, but
really had fun until you've ordered like 32 packages of sausage for some nuns to cook.
Oh,
God. You know you made it. Sisters of St. who? St. Catherine? St. somebody.
St.
Paul. Daughters of St. Paul. Bunch of nuns.
You know what you need? A lot of sausage.
A lot of sausage.
Yeah.
Last thing is backpack question. So this is a question we ask every guest, which is what goes in your backpack? It could be something physical. It could be something metaphorical. It is one half of a tweet sized answer though. What goes in your backpack? Do you put something physical like an avocado? Like Seda Trujillo did from Clowns Across Borders. Absolutely not joking. That's her job. Clowns Without Borders.
Exactly what you think.
Or Butterscotch, the beatbox, 5-time beatbox champion. She said she wanted a banana because I guess that helps with the sounds you make when you're beatboxing. Yep. Or it could be something like what Horacio Garcia Rojas said, which was what again, Kerry?
Pride, like pride in where you come from, because he's an actor and he wants his career to span, the globe, wherever the good roles are. But he's from Mexico City, and he wanted that.
He wants you to know he's from Mexico City. It's like part of the DNA. So I'll start with Laura Mignott. What is something that has to go in your backpack?
Empathy.
Oh my
big
God.
One. It's a big one. What was that going to be your answer, Michael?
That was going to be, I got to say that was going to be my answer. I think we need a little bit more of that. And if without the empathy, I'll throw a little love in there because I do believe that's going to be what makes the world go around.
I think empathy from both of you is fine. And I mean, I believe in love after love. I think that's a way to do it.
Yeah. So, you and your song lyrics, you kill me with that. You really do.
Who can't sing a little Cher from time to time? When Laura was talking about going to the drag balls, there's almost no more fun that you can have in the world than hanging out with a bunch of drag people. It is you've never met a bunch of people who are so happy to be on this planet, at least in those moments.
I'd show you my Cher impression, but you do
a Cher impression?
No.
My Grammy was really good at singing ABBA songs, so.